If you are sick and tired of suffering with back pain, then I want to show you the little known movements that almost instantly fixed my 12 years of relentless stabbing low back pain, misaligned discs, and terrible sciatica all down my left leg. Your back pain could begin to vanish today because these slow, gentle back and forth movements are a real solution to back pain and are 100 times more effective than all the tired old treatments you've probably tried before, like stretching and costly physio, chiro, and massage. I'm about to tell you the shocking story of how I wound up discovering these long lost movements and show you how you can do them yourself. You're going to especially love my #1 go-to movement for fixing back pain. It's a 96-year-old forgotten movement, which you'll discover right here in this video. It is going to make your back feel better than it has in 5 minutes or less. I'm also going to teach you my special deep focus trick, which felt kind of strange to me the first time I tried it, but it actually accelerated my results and ended up being key to fixing my back pain. I'll even reveal the big back pain lie, the stretching lie, that most of my students and I fell victim to for years, including the harmless looking stretch that is likely to eventually destroy your back, even though many so-called experts say you should do it. And stick around to the end of the video because I'll give you my step-by-step system for rapid back pain recovery that you can easily do in the comfort of your own home, totally naturally, with no equipment needed. You are going to be delighted by how quickly this system of slow, gentle back and forth movements improves the health of your spine, discs, nerves, and muscles, and gets rid of your back pain. My name is Matt Cook, and due to years of mistreating my back with poor posture, too much sitting, and repetitive strain, my back was like an 80-year-old man's, and I was just a step away from a major injury. And sure enough, one day, a life-shattering lower back injury left me unable to take a single step without torturous stabbing pain in my lower back and sciatica all the way down my leg. Only after 12 years of relentless suffering, endless research, and trying absolutely everything under the sun in an effort to fix my back, did I finally discover the forgotten secret to fixing back pain, which helped me to develop a series of special movements that completely healed my back pain, made my back feel strong and flexible, and made me feel younger than I had in years. If you do these movements, you too can fix your back pain quickly and easily, which means never again will you have to lie awake in the middle of the night, unable to sleep, and then feel exhausted the next day because of the pain. Never again will you have to take expensive pain pills because your back pain just won't stop hurting. Never again will you have to spend your hard-earned money and precious time visiting doctors, physios, and chiros in an effort to fix your back pain. Because, quite simply, after these movements, you won't have back pain. Think about it. You'll no longer have to suffer the pain getting worse and worse, living with the fear you'll have an injury like I did, which could leave you crippled and unable to walk, destroying your quality of life. Having helped people who have had horrendous back pain, I can tell you that you really don't want your back to deteriorate so much that you end up in a situation so desperate that a surgeon convinces you that the only option is an invasive and destructive and irreversible surgery, such as a spinal fusion, where they screw pins into your vertebrae to permanently hold them in one fixed place, permanently ending your spinal mobility, or even worse, a laminectomy, where they literally cut and saw your spinal vertebrae to either partially or fully remove them. Do you know that studies show that only around 50% of these surgeries are considered successful, with successful meaning nothing more than a reduction in pain? Though today, you can have hope because no matter what initially caused your back pain, an injury, repetitive strains, sitting too much, whatever it was for you, and no matter what type of back pain you have, whether it's lower back pain or sciatica, middle or upper back, wherever you feel pain, and even if you've had that back pain for years or even decades, these movements really can fix your back pain. And not only will they help you get out of pain, as your back pain fades away, you'll also find yourself becoming effortlessly more mobile, flexible, stronger, with perfect posture and alignment and balance. Then you'll be able to move your body comfortably, enjoyably, with strength and energy, allowing you to get in the best shape of your life maybe, lose weight if you want to, and have a lean, attractive figure you've dreamed of for so long. And then you can really just live life much more happily, free from back pain. It's worked for me, it's worked for my students, and it'll work for you too. So here's how I discovered these movements. When I went off to university at 18, I didn't have a single ounce of back pain. Everything was completely fine. Happy-go-lucky, not a worry in the world. Then one night I stayed up until 5 a.m. finishing an assignment. The whole time slumped over textbooks on my laptop, sitting on a chair that really offered no ergonomic back support, just like so many people do when they sit in their office chair. And as dawn rolled in, I noticed that my back was kind of sore, like a tired and aching feeling deep in my low back muscles and spine, and it was still there the next day. It healed soon enough, no big deal, right? But then I started to notice my back would get sore even when I'd study for just a couple of hours. And after a while, it was sore even when I wasn't studying, even when I wasn't sitting down. I procrastinated for a while, probably not wanting to admit to myself that something was wrong, but after a while, I saw a doctor. And she told me, "Don't worry, this is very common. You just need some anti-inflammatories and the pain will be gone." She wrote me a prescription for a very well-known medication, and indeed, the pain totally went away for a couple of days. But then the pills started to have less and less effect, and after a few weeks, they had no effect at all. I didn't want to risk falling into a cycle of increasing dosages and potentially becoming addicted, so I held them in my hand over the trash can, declared no pills ever again, and I let them fall in. Though as I did, my stomach tightened and my heart sunk. The doctors were supposed to have the solution, weren't they? They told me with total confidence that all I needed was anti-inflammatories and I'd be cured, but they were wrong. So I stepped things up a notch and I went to see the university campus physiotherapist. That was the first time I'd ever gotten a massage and it felt great. My muscles felt so relaxed and again, I thought the problems were over. I figured if my back ever got sore again, I'd just get a massage. Well, my back did get sore again and I went for another massage, but this time the pain didn't completely go away. So I began to get weekly massages. But even with those, I couldn't deny that my back pain was generally increasing, more intense and in a wider area. It even seemed to spread to other areas, especially my neck, shoulders, hips and knees. Then the physiotherapist gave me some stretches and I began to take yoga classes on her recommendation. So now I was in the stretching mindset. Almost everyone who suffers back pain gets into the stretching mindset at one point or another. It just makes so much sense, doesn't it? The muscles are tight and painful, while healthy people have long, flexible muscles, so I figured I should stretch. I started just stretching my back, but then as I did more research, I heard people say that the cause could actually be tight hamstrings, so I stretched them. And then I heard tight hip flexors, so I added them to my routine. Then my calves, then quadriceps, then chest and shoulders. Pretty soon, I was stretching literally 2 hours every day, with some relief here and there, but nothing that lasted. I kept thinking that there must be some muscle that was the hidden cause, or some stretch I was missing, or that I wasn't doing the right type of stretching. I couldn't see the writing on the wall. Stretching just doesn't work for people in pain. Sure, stretching is great for people who are already pain-free to improve flexibility, but it's not what people in pain need. I was fed up. As I lost faith in doctors, massage, and physiotherapy, I began doing my own research online. Videos, blogs, discussion forums, social media. But here's the worst part. Everyone online was only repeating a watered-down version of the exact same thing that the professionals told me. It made me really angry each time I heard someone tell me that something I'd already tried a million times was the way to fix my back pain. I could never figure out if they were willfully lying to me or just naive. Sometimes I heard people online say, it's not stretching, the secret is actually strengthening. So off I went to the gym to devoutly strengthen every single muscle I was told to, and that's when the unthinkable happened. One time at the university gym, I was using the hyperextension machine, one of the go-to machines for strengthening back muscles. I was doing it weighted with around 15 kilograms or 30 pounds on my back. I did 10 reps or so and everything seemed fine until I stepped off the machine. The moment my left leg touched the ground, a terrifying stabbing pain shot from my lower back all down my left leg, like someone had thrust a knife into my lower back and slid the blade all down the back of my leg, all the way to my foot. My knee buckled and I almost fell over. I wrenched my left foot off the floor. I couldn't put it back down without the pain piercing through my whole body. It was like being electrocuted. I couldn't put any weight on my left foot. All the muscles on the left side of my spine and into my hips were fiercely contracted and I couldn't relax them. My friends, who were right near me, asked, "You right, man?" And I was so embarrassed, I just said, "Yeah, totally fine." I waited until they weren't watching, then I limped all the way back to my college dorm room in total shock, my back in some state of chaotic trauma that shook me to the center of my being. It was like my entire reality had been split in two. Half my awareness was no longer present to the outside world. Instead, it was totally fixated on the pain in my lower back and leg, purely devoted to obsessing and worrying over the pain. I was in my room for days, hoping for the pain to go, but it just didn't. My balance, stability, and coordination rapidly diminished, and walking on solid ground became like walking on ice. Every single step was pain. And furthermore, every single step made the problem worse because I found ways to tense the muscles of my ankles, knees, and hips in an attempt to decrease the pain and stay stable, which made me extremely stiff, especially in my low back where the muscles were as hard as rock and painful to touch. I was freaking out, so anxious, so terrified that I'd permanently wrecked my entire body. I'd gone from the frying pan to the fire, so I was insanely desperate. I began to see expensive professionals like chiropractors, radiologists, active release practitioners, osteopaths, and so on. I got my back cracked in every angle, I got needles into my spine, I got all sorts of braces, and can you guess the results I got? Absolutely nothing. Sure, there was the temporary relief that lasted a day or two, but the pain came back every time, and there were no lasting results. I did learn a few things about back pain and how it works at the time, especially from all the radiology and chiropractic. The muscles of my back were extremely tense and hard. Now that's painful enough on its own, but to make things worse, the tense muscles were exerting a lot of pressure on my spinal vertebrae, pressuring them together and pulling them out of alignment. And there was pressure on my sciatic nerve, which was responsible for a typical pattern of pain all down my left leg. At the time, I suspected that the eventual solution would involve somehow relaxing the tension in the muscles, because if the muscles weren't tense, my spine could relax back into alignment and the pressure could come off the discs and the nerves. I knew the problem so well, but a real long-lasting solution evaded me, causing me almost constant stress and anxiety. So there I was in this existential crisis with constant pain in my lower back, which jolted me with every step, and it seemed absolutely impossible to fix it. Meanwhile, trying to get through a 4-year university degree, which requires 40 to 50 hours a week, sitting down looking at a book or a laptop or taking notes. Just an awful situation, and I have deep sympathy for every other person out there with a similar experience. I had no choice but to just grin and bear it all through 4 years of university, then into the workforce, year after year after year, waking up to pain and enduring it until the moment I fell asleep. And trying to get to sleep was one of the worst parts. I'd lie awake with this throbbing sensation in my back, and sometimes I'd be able to calm it down if I got out of bed, put a lacrosse ball under my back and rubbed it, but sometimes even that was no use, and all I could do was wait in pain until 4 or 5 a.m. when I finally fell asleep from total exhaustion. So I wasn't just in pain, I was also sleep deprived and very low on energy, and all of that began to impact me on a deep psychological level. It's like being in prison. You feel trapped and the pain sprawls out to infect every area of your life. I began to get extremely anxious and I had this constant depression that was impossible to shake. After 9 or so years of this ceaseless torment, I'd almost resigned to thinking that all I could ever do was prevent the pain from becoming worse. At one point, I suppose in the 11th or 12th year, I was paying around $750 per month for supposedly state-of-the-art active release techniques just to prevent things getting worse. Now, I was a single guy at the time and very lucky to have a disposable income, though what if you got a mortgage, a family to feed, bills to pay, and kids to raise and put through college? That would be totally unaffordable, plus the $750 a month didn't even lead me to a solution, only relief for a day or two. Though, let me tell you something important. Maybe just as important as the movements I want to show you themselves. The most important thing, if you're now in a situation like I was, is that you never, ever give up hope. I was close to giving up hope many, many times, and maybe you felt that way too. Maybe you even felt that way earlier today. But just don't ever give up hope, because it is possible to fix your back pain. Quickly and easily, in fact. Here's how it happened for me. One day in August of 2017, in my 12th year of back pain, I was living in Medellin, Colombia, a day like any other day in the city of eternal spring, as they call it, when I stumbled on something miraculous. The first domino that would start a chain reaction to all my pain disappearing. A Finnish movement coach I'd never before seen or heard of, Aero Westerberg. I found a video of his online. He moves so well, and he explained something about my body that I'd never heard before. He talked about feeling the muscles and joints instead of worrying about how I did any particular exercise or the form of any particular exercise. He said it was so much more important to focus my mind toward feeling the sensations in my muscles and joints. I ended up hiring Aero to coach me, and he explained that when a muscle or joint has been in serious pain for a long time, the brain does this crazy thing to prevent pain. It stops the painful area from moving. I'll repeat that one. This is important to know. When a part of your body has been in serious pain for a long time, the brain actually stops the painful area from moving. You may have experienced this yourself already. You've most likely lost some range of motion, flexibility, and mobility. Now, the brain preventing an area from moving might be good in the short term because it prevents you from causing further damage, but in the long term, the area becomes tight, weak, uncoordinated, inflamed, and potentially totally frozen. So what you need to do to fix things is to ever so gradually get the area moving again. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do, with focus on feeling the sensations in your muscles and joints. It doesn't really have anything to do with strengthening muscles or stretching muscles. It's just about gradually improving movement and increasing feeling. And that's something you can do without any fancy equipment or even a gym membership. You can do it from the comfort of your own home with just your own body. So I completely stopped relying on all those typical stretches and strengtheners. I stopped getting massages. I stopped seeing all my physios and chiros, saving myself the best part of $1,000 a month in the process. And instead, I completely switched to focusing purely on movement and mobilizing. It was so fun and interesting, and more than anything, so easy. Seeing as I was new to this, I started with my arms and my legs. Whenever I had 5 minutes here or there, I'd just choose some new position to start from and experiment with moving my joints and feeling my muscles. And I noticed something critical. I noticed that if I did really gentle, slow, simple movements, my muscles would actually feel better. I could feel them better. I could control them better. Yes, the slower, simpler, gentler, calmer, the better. And that gave me a crazy idea to help my back pain. One day I asked, what would be the simplest, slowest, easiest, gentlest movements I could possibly do for my back? And after weeks of thinking the question over and over, giving it hours and hours of thought, my brain finally sent back a totally unexpected suggestion. How about movement that we do as infants when we were first switching on our muscles and learning to move? I did some Google searches and found that there's actually a name for that. It's called developmental movement. Pay close attention to this next part, because this developmental movement idea is pretty much the idea that any sufferer of back pain has been hoping all their life to learn about. Developmental movement is a field of scientific study by people who realized that by revisiting some of the movements that we did in early childhood as infants, when we were first switching on our muscles and learning to move, adults can restore all the movement connections in their bodies, completely restoring coordination and balance, releasing muscular tension, and freeing their joints. Needless to say, I was intrigued, and in this field of developmental movement, I stumbled on a miraculous movement which initiated my back's total recovery. This movement was developed by a woman named Irmgard Bartenieff, a dancer, choreographer, and physical therapist in Germany, 1925, almost 100 years ago. And here's how my first experience with this movement went. I lay on my back with one leg out straight and the other leg bent at the knee, with my flat foot on the ground, close to my bum. Then I began to rock my body back and forth, first initiating the rocking from my flat foot, and then initiating the rocking from the heel of my straight leg. Now don't worry if you don't completely understand it just yet. I'll explain it in much more detail later for you. As I began the movement, I wasn't really noticing much. I assumed it was going to be just another thing that I tried and failed with. But then I remembered all that Aero had taught me. And so instead of rocking back and forth quickly, I slowed the movement down. I moved very slowly and calmly, focusing deeply on my back muscles and my spine, exploring for sensations as Aero had instructed me. It was strange Time seemed to slow down and I began to feel relaxed like I hadn't in years. Then, all of a sudden, I felt the release. For the first time ever in my life, I felt tension in my back muscles release, and I felt my spine slide into a better alignment, and it was like some of the pressure on my discs just vanished. Now, I'm not saying that my back was completely fixed in one exercise, but there was a definite, irrefutable change like I had never felt before. And as I stood up, I felt like a new person, and I knew in that moment that the worst was behind me. I remember pacing around my apartment exclaiming, I found it, oh my God, I found it. And from that very moment onward, back pain had no power over me anymore. Sure, there was still pain, but I was certain that the path toward total recovery was firmly in my grasp, and that meant the world to me. I kept doing that same movement daily for the next few days, and each time it helped my back tremendously. Each time I'd stand up feeling more balanced, coordinated, stable, and most importantly, with less pain. Though at the same time, I realized that one single movement wasn't going to completely fix my entire back and 12 years of pain. By that time in my journey, I was very familiar with the anatomy of the back, and I knew that there were dozens of muscles and dozens of joints, so it wasn't very realistic to expect one single movement to fix absolutely everything, no matter how powerful it was. So I went into a deep think for weeks, maybe months, about how I could replicate Barteniev's movement to target different parts of my back. Perhaps I summoned some of my engineering training. I thought about the back and forth nature of Barteniev's movement, about the rocking, about how the muscles slowly contracted and relaxed, muscular tension on, muscular tension off, about how the pressure of my feet into the ground was moving my body, about how gravity and momentum were working on my body as I moved. I thought about how all the muscles connected to my spine and how forces flowed through my joints and my bones. I drew diagrams and representations to help me visualize everything. I'd never before really felt any purpose to my career as an engineer, so perhaps it was all meant for that one thing. And all the time I was experimenting with new movements. I'd lay down on the floor and try different gentle back and forth movements with deep focus. Some were total failures, some worked a tiny bit but weren't worth repeating, though occasionally I'd strike gold and find a movement that was just as effective as Barteniev's movement. Whenever I found a winner that triggered an instant release in my back, I'd write it down. My own pain was fading, and that filled me with joy. And there was something else I was getting very excited about. I knew that there must be literally hundreds of millions, if not billions, of people suffering with back pain. And I kept imagining a future where I'd be able to share just the most potent, super effective movements with those people so they could recover from back pain with minimal time and effort. Over the next few months, my life went into an upward spiral. Every single day, my back pain faded and faded. I began to have days where I didn't even notice pain at all. I could get to sleep effortlessly. My energy soared to higher levels than I could remember having. Looking at myself in the mirror, I could not believe how aligned my posture was. I could spend time with my friends and family and really enjoy the moment without being distracted by pain. I remember looking in the mirror one day and noticing that the resting expression on my face had turned from one of depression into one of optimism. And I said to myself, wow, I guess I've done it. It's over. I've cured my back pain. Soon after, totally spur of the moment, I decided to go to a gymnastics class, something I'd always wanted to do. Finally uninhibited by pain, I learned all sorts of amazing movements and tricks that I once would never even have bothered trying because I'd have been too afraid of injuring myself. I almost effortlessly got into better shape. I even started to see myself as good at moving my body, which made me want to use it even more. I got into martial arts, and even something I never expected I'd try, ballet. I was actually living in Moscow, Russia at the time, and I trained with a professional Russian ballet dancer and gained an extremely deep knowledge of the body. At one point, my family and friends started noticing the results, and I was really pleased when some of them confided in me that they also had back pain and asked me to help them. I was able to pull out my list of proven movements, and they were able to get literally instant results. They'd just say where they were experiencing pain, and I knew the perfect movement for them right away. Even better, I was able to make slight modifications to the movements because of my experience with gymnastics, martial arts, and ballet to make them even more effective and ultimately turn them into a repeatable system, and this allowed them to make extremely rapid progress much faster than I'd made myself. And as I saw these results and I heard people urging me to get this movement system out there to the world, I began to believe in myself. I began to really believe that what I'd discovered was ready to be shared. Because now, as a person who once suffered chronic agonizing back pain and couldn't find any relief with mainstream methods for 12 years, I now feel 100% confident saying without a single shred of doubt in my mind that this movement system, which completely cured me, is the single most effective way to fix back pain on the entire planet. The system is essentially the combined power of Aero Westerberg, developmental movement, Irmgard Bartenieff, gymnastics, martial arts, and ballet, all working super potently to help you get a pain-free back more effectively than anything else on the planet. Let's quickly recap what you've learned so far about this system. Chronic back pain can initially develop for many reasons. Sudden injuries, chronic bad posture, too much sitting, not enough exercise or movement, repetitive strain, bad movement patterns, botched surgeries, stress, anxiety, depression, trauma, or repressed painful emotions such as fear, anger, guilt, or regret. After months or years of pain, the brain tends to totally shut down the painful area, leading to extreme tightness, weakness, inflammation, immobility, and even the area being completely frozen. Mainstream techniques such as massage, stretching, strengthening, physiotherapy, chiropractic are great for temporary relief, but generally do not solve anyone's back pain in the long run. Fixing back pain involves gradually, gently mobilizing your spine, relieving pressure and creating space between discs, and releasing the tension out of your back muscles, thus bringing the painful area back to life. Movements that do this must be safe, slow, gentle, comfortable, relaxing, and involve conscious focus on your muscles and joints. The gold standard movement system for fixing back pain is these slow, smooth, flowing movements that you've seen in this video, inspired by Irmgard Bartenieff's movement and the wisdom of Aero Westerberg. I've tried everything, and there is simply nothing better out there than this system. Now, you can take this information and you can set out on a journey by yourself, learn to feel your muscles and joints, experiment with hundreds, if not thousands, of different movements until you find the right ones for a couple of years like I did. Though if you want to skip all the trial and error and just get right to your back feeling better, then I'd like to introduce you to what really is the future of fixing back pain. It's called the back pain miracle. I call it the back pain miracle because that's what fixing back pain was for me, a miracle. The back pain miracle is a rapid back pain recovery system with the most effective movements to fix back pain by mobilizing your spine in a way that quickly relieves pressure and creates space between your discs and releases tension in your back muscles, as well as key muscles like your hamstrings, hip flexors, and piriformis. Even if you've had a serious injury or decades of back pain or sciatica, all of which I had, this can work for you. Let me give you a taste of what you'll discover inside the back pain miracle system. The first movement you'll want to try is the exact same movement which initiated my back's total recovery, the Bartenieff rock and roller. No matter which specific pain you have, this movement will be essential to your recovery. It reactivates the connections between the muscles and joints of your toes, heels, knees, hips, and back. Every time you gently rock back and forth, your spinal vertebrae will gently open and close, releasing the pressure from the discs and taking pressure off any compressed nerves. And the muscles of your entire body will learn to coordinate and work together so that your spine is supported and stable and you're able to move your spine gracefully and comfortably. Do you have pain in this muscle called the quadratus lumborum? Do you have pain when bending to the side or pain when rotating your spine? Do you have lateral spinal misalignment or scoliosis? This knees side to side movement is my personal favorite movement, and it will mobilize and relax all the muscles and joints involved with those problems. Just move slowly, feel your spine and back muscles, and every single back and forth movement will relax the area more and more as you breathe sighs of relief as some of your worst pains fade away. Do you have pain here at the top of your butt, into your lower back, and also down your side and into your hip joint and groin? This can be confused for sciatica, but it's much more likely that your hip joints are totally locked up. And if your hip joints can't move, your back won't move either, so it must be corrected. This movement offers unmatched hip joint mobilization and will lead to rapid reduction of tension and pain in the entire hip, groin, and low back area. Do you have a wide area of pain all throughout your low back? This other Bartenieff movement, called supine to fetal, targets this area as you gently go back and forth between a straight, extended position and a tucked fetal position. As you do this movement, you will notice the excess tension you've been carrying with you. And as you do the movement more gracefully and purely, that excess tension will drip away from your back and your whole body so that you can move lightly, calmly, free of tension and pain. Do you have full body pain patterns that seem to go from head to toe? That's generally because your entire core has shut down, which means all the different parts of your body are disconnected, working against each other, and creating immeasurable painful excess muscular tension. This is the most effective movement for switching on your entire core while mobilizing your entire spine from tailbone to atlas. Your entire body will become more comfortable, balanced, and sturdy, and you'll really feel like your core is working for you, maybe for the first time in your life. Do you have pain here, in and around the piriformis muscle? Sometimes this is called piriformis syndrome. The piriformis muscle can squeeze the sciatic nerve, mimicking lumbar sciatica, and cause pain down the leg and in the lower back. This is the most effective piriformis mobilization and release position and will rapidly reduce piriformis syndrome. Do you have an anterior or posterior pelvic tilt? Do you have a locked or frozen pelvis? Do you have pelvic floor dysfunction or tailbone pain? The supported frog pose position will allow your low back, pelvis, pelvic floor, and tailbone to all softly relax and effortlessly mobilize, dramatically reducing stiffness and pain in the entire area. This is one of the most relaxing movements you can do for back pain, and your hip joints will also soften and release. Do you have trouble extending your back? Do you have trouble simply opening up your body like this? If so, you almost certainly have sky-high levels of tension in your low back and your deep hip flexors that attach to your spine. In the foam roller spinal extension movement, I'll show you how to comfortably lie over a small foam roller or even a rolled up towel and gently mobilize your vertebrae as your hip flexor muscles and back muscles release. Do you have these classic bad posture symptoms, including a hunched upper back, rounded shoulders, forward head, trouble moving your arms overhead, and general pain and stiffness in the upper back? This is frequently caused by a lack of thoracic spine extension. In the towel under thoracic spine movement, we'll lie over a half rolled up towel and gently mobilize the thoracic vertebrae, simultaneously opening up your chest and shoulders. This will reduce pain dramatically and give you better posture. And if you do it multiple times, you'll be able to effortlessly stand with impeccable, confident, attractive posture. Do you have pain right here, in or around your sacroiliac joint or deep in the base of your lumbar spine? Do you have pain whenever your spine twists? The slow scorpion movement will gently mobilize the deepest and most important joints of your back and help reduce cold, stabbing pains deep in your spine, as well as take pressure off nerves, helping conditions such as sciatica. It will also help soften extremely tense muscles at the base of your lumbar spine. This movement will give you a great sense of balance and stability in your body. Do you have extremely tight muscles not only all up your back, but also down into your hamstrings, calves, and feet, and also up into your neck? Does this cause you difficulty and pain while bending and hurt your general mobility? A lot of people try to stretch and touch their toes to fix this. Don't do that unless you want to get worse. Try this instead. This is the straight-legged slump waves movement. It will mobilize your entire spine and neck and relax the tension out of your entire back chain of muscles that goes from your toes all the way up your back to the base of your skull. So much pain and tension will exit your body. You'll feel very relaxed, loose, and flexible after doing this. Do you have trouble sitting up straight in good posture for a long time until you're forced to slump down? That's probably because you're only using a fraction of your deep postural muscles and have to rely on weak surface muscles which fatigue quickly. This seated spirals movement will activate your entire spine, your hips, and your pelvis and teach them all to work together in harmony so that you live in good posture, not sagging, but feeling supported and strong. And of course, this will lead to a dramatic reduction in pain. After the movements I've mentioned so far help release loads of excess tension and pain from your back, you're going to be ready to move beyond pain and into enjoyable, sturdy mobility. Is your walking stiff, unstable, or painful? This is often because your legs move, but your pelvis stays very still, which causes a ton of tension in your back every single step. Your pelvis is actually meant to swing a little, like a salsa dancer when you walk. We'll mobilize your pelvis side to side, front to back. We'll also coordinate it with your knees so that you can walk gracefully, smoothly, and painlessly, and your back will be very relaxed as if you begin to glide through life. Do you have a generally stiff, slow-moving, rigid posture? The miraculous spinal waves movement will revitalize your spine and your whole body and help you to become literally great at movement. It will teach you to move freely, joyfully, and confidently. As you play with this movement, you'll stop even identifying as a pain sufferer and become someone who feels great and loves to move. Would you like to finally experience having a strong, flexible spine that you can be proud of and treasure as a part of you that you truly love? This movement is the Aero Westerberg spinal dives. This is where you take everything you've learned so far and use it to transform your back into the stuff of legends. So long, back pain. It's time to have one of the best backbones in the world and walk tall, proud, and confident. And of course, you'll have a structured routine to follow so that you know exactly which movements to do, in which order, and for how long to ensure you get maximum results. You'll have 3 routines to choose from depending on how much free time you have. One for busy people who just have 15 minutes or so a few times a week, one for people who want to spend a few hours per week, and one for the most eager people who have plenty of time and want to make massive progress as quickly as possible. And that seriously is just the tip of the iceberg. That is the magnificent experience you're going to have with the Back Pain Miracle System. You're going to have the time of your life and transform your back from pain to feeling amazing so quickly, and you will be able to look back at this as one of the best things you ever do. Now, the most common questions people ask me are, how do I get access right now? How much does it cost? Is it guaranteed to work for me? So I'm going to answer all of those questions. One question I have for you first is, what's it worth to you? What would it be worth to you to no longer have back pain? Really take a moment to imagine that. No more back pain. To no longer feel horrible, undeserved physical pain in your back. To no longer be restricted in your flexibility and mobility. To feel your spine strong and full of energy. To be able to move comfortably and joyfully any way you like. For exercise, for sport, for time with kids or grandkids, for quality time with your partner, for your social life, for your career or passion projects, for absolutely anything you desire, and to know with certainty that your back is going to feel safe, amazing, and pain-free. If you ask me, a pain-free back and all the possibilities it opens up to you is worth well over $1 million. It truly is that amazing. Now, when I make things, I like to make things that are incredibly valuable like this, and then price them affordably so that I can help as many people as possible, no matter what financial situation they're in. Because I'm an engineer, so I live to spread practical scientific advances that improve the comfort and joy of people's lives. Some of my friends told me, Matt, you've got to charge $1,000 for this. Sell it to rich CEOs and entrepreneurs. And I just dismissed that idea instantly, like, no way, that's not what I'm in this for. So you don't have to pay $1,000. You don't have to even pay half of that. You don't even have to pay half of that. I really love to give people a great deal. That's why if you order today from this page, then the Back Pain Miracle System is yours for the super low price of only $47. That's a one-time payment for everything. There are no extra charges and no monthly payments. There's a button below this video that you can click to order the Back Pain Miracle System. So click that button now and you go through to the checkout. Then just fill in your details and you'll get automatically logged in to the Back Pain Miracle System. And from there, it's smooth sailing all the way to a pain-free back. And if you break this payment down over the next 30 days, it comes to only $1.57 a day. So to take advantage of this fantastic opportunity, go ahead and click the button below this video now. And just in case you have any doubts or concerns, or you're wondering if this will really lead to the pain-free back you've been dreaming of, then I want to let you know that I'm guaranteeing your investment today with a 60-day money-back guarantee. You see, I believe so strongly that the Back Pain Miracle System is so effective, so powerful, and so different from anything you've ever tried before that I'm willing to take all the risk away from you and give you a full 60 days to try this out and see for yourself just how wonderful your back is going to feel. Here's what I mean. Get the Back Pain Miracle System right now and start going through it. Based on my own experience and the experience of my students, I'm confident in saying that you'll notice results very quickly, and those results will continue to get better day by day. Then after 60 days, if you're not absolutely blown away by the effect the back pain miracle system has on your back, or even if it's not exactly what you were expecting, then all you need to do is drop me a quick email and I'll send you a full refund of every penny paid with no questions asked and no hard feelings. So go ahead, invest in yourself. Try out the back pain miracle system risk-free today. Just click the button below this video now and you'll go through to the secure checkout page with both the McAfee and Norton security verifications. All you have to do is enter just your name, email, and billing details, then click the red Pay Now button. Your payment will be taken by ClickBank, one of the world's biggest retailers of online digital products. You're also welcome to pay with PayPal by clicking here. As soon as you click Pay Now, your Back Pain Miracle account will be automatically created and you'll be automatically logged in, and then you can watch the videos in your phone, your tablet, laptop, or desktop, and you can even download them to keep them forever on your device. I'll also email you your username and password so you'll always have those for safekeeping, and I'll always be here for you. So if you need help at any time, simply send me an email. I aim to answer all emails within 24 hours, any day of the week. Just click that button below the video and get ready to live your life without back pain. Okay, you now know absolutely everything you need to know. You've come this far, and that means you're someone who cares deeply about making your back feel better, and you're probably at a point in your life where you're ready to make a change, to stop doing what doesn't work and start doing what does, and to commit to truly moving beyond back pain. When I'm coaching someone in person, showing them how these movements are essentially their ticket out of back pain and into comfortable, joyful movement and effortless mobility and flexibility, at this point, they usually appreciate if I say the following to them to give them the final piece of motivation they need to take the first step and commit. Listen carefully. From this day forward, your back pain is either going to get better or worse. If you do nothing, it will get worse. If you cross your fingers and rely on hope, it will get worse. If you continue to rely on the tired, old, mainstream approaches that have never really helped you, like massage, stretching, strengthening, physiotherapy, chiropractic, pain pills, and so on, your back pain will get worse. It will ache more and more, and your stress, anxiety, and misery will only increase over time. I know how bad it is because I had it for 12 years until I found these movements, which worked when nothing else would. So I really don't want you to go down that path. That is the path of darkness. There's nothing down that path other than pain, which, as I mentioned, can eventually lead to desperate situations in which surgery seems like the only option. And the next thing you know, you're lying on the operating table counting down from 10 to 1 until the anesthesia puts you to sleep while a cut-happy surgeon cuts and saws and fuses your spinal vertebrae, destroying any chance you ever had of recovery. Then you might end up hooked on opioids after. Don't risk it. Instead, I want you to go down a different path, the path of the light, the path toward a life with a pain-free back, a strong, flexible, mobile back, with tall, aligned, confident posture. So listen, you can do it. I believe in you. You have your mind, your will, your desire for happiness, and in a moment you'll have access to the back pain miracle system, and that's all you need. Fixing back pain can be so easy and enjoyable, and you completely deserve the results. You deserve to be flexible and mobile. You deserve to feel joy flowing through your back and your whole body. You deserve to be able to once again do the things of which back pain has robbed you, to have it all return to you again, as good as before or even better. So treat yourself. Make this happen for yourself. Today can be the day where everything begins to get better, and you begin to glide through life with the welcoming of these movements and the back pain miracle system into your life. And it's all yours for just $47 with a risk-free 60-day guarantee. So go ahead, give it a try. You'll be so glad you did. Click the button below to get started. My name is Matt Cook. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the back pain miracle system video area.